is my water bottle. One sec. Okay. Well, he's not excited about my sermon, I guess. Well, good morning. Welcome to, this is the last part of my sermon series. I made it. I made it a whole month. And I didn't die of stress or get kicked out of church. So we're good. I think I'm doing pretty okay. What's that? Oh.
So far.
Yeah, okay. I was watching a sermon this week and I heard a pastor who talked about he doesn't like it when other pastors apologize for when they have to read a bunch of scripture, because it's like apologizing for giving me a whole bunch of food. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So I'm not going to apologize this morning. I'm just going to start by reading from Exodus 33, verse 8. You can follow along in your Bible, but it's also up on the screen if you want to just read along. So we're following on, again, this is kind of our last part of our series on Moses. Verse 8 says, whenever Moses went out to the tent of meeting, all the people would get up and stand in the entrances of their own tents. They would all watch Moses until he disappeared inside. As he went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and hover at its entrance while the Lord spoke to Moses. When the people saw the cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they would stand and bow down in front of their own tents. Inside the tent of meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend. Afterward, Moses would return to the camp, but the young man who assisted him, Joshua, son of Nun, would remain behind in the tent of meeting. One day Moses said to the Lord, you have been telling me, take these people up to the promised land, but you haven't told me whom you will send with me. You've told me I know you by name and I look favorably on you. If it is true that you look favorably on me, let me know your ways so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. And remember that this nation is your very own people. The Lord replied, I will personally go with you, Moses, and I will give you rest. Everything will be fine for you. Then Moses said, if you don't personally go with us, don't make us leave this place. How will anyone know that you look favorably on me and on your people if you don't go with us? For your presence among us sets your people and me apart from all other people on the earth. The Lord replied to Moses, I will indeed do what you have asked, for I look favorably on you, and I know you by name. Moses responded, then show me your glorious presence. Wow, you can do that? You can. The Lord replied, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will call out my name Yahweh before you. For I will show mercy to anyone I choose, and I will show compassion to anyone I choose. But you may not look directly at my face, for no one may see me and live. The Lord continued, look, stand near me on this rock, as my glorious presence passes by, and I will hide you in the crevice of the rock, and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and let you see me from behind, but my face will not be seen. This is a crazy story. I think maybe that's part of why I like Moses' journey, because we just get to read all of these crazy stories, these things that happen. But this is, to me, one of the biggest things. I mean, he actually got to see God. Like, how crazy is that? First is something that I want you to kind of understand here, and I want you to put yourself kind of in the place of the Israelites. That's one thing I've been saying time and again when reading the Bible. I think it's important for us to try and be there and experience what they experienced, not necessarily what we think now, but what they would have thought then. So this is kind of through the early stages of the Israelites, their journey of the wilderness. They haven't been traveling for too long. I think it's been about a few months at this point. But let's say that you're an Israelite and you're in this camp. You set up all your camp, and you set up a tent because that's how real people camp. Not any of this other stuff in a big trailer. Most of our camping people are gone, so we don't have to hear that. And outside of your camp, of all your tents, there's another tent that's set up that they call this the tent of meeting. And this is where you would go to meet with God, where you can talk to God and converse with him. And this is before they've actually built the tabernacle, which is what the tent of meeting would then soon become, where you would go to meet God. But right now they haven't built this tabernacle yet, so it's this special tent outside of the camp. And so this idea kind of struck me. That's kind of interesting to have this one place where you go to meet with God. I mean, the great thing for us now is we can pray, we can talk to God all the time. But I kind of like this idea of making this separate place where you know, okay, I'm going here to talk to God. This is my God place, so to speak. But maybe I should try that. Maybe make a room or some place off in, some place when you're camping, you go away from everybody else, and this is your God place. It's kind of just an interesting place, your own little tent of meeting. So it says that when Moses goes into this tent of meeting, and a cloud comes over it, and this is where God speaks to Moses. So you can kind of understand from, if you're just an Israelite watching, that when God comes on this tent, you see this cloud come down, you better believe that I'm going to bow down too, because that's some insane, scary stuff, but some really cool stuff. So it says in this verse that God spoke to Moses face to face, like a friend. So just like you're hearing my voice now, like when you talk to people after, when you talk to a friend, that's how clearly Moses was hearing God, which is just an unthinkable thing to imagine, that he would have this relationship where you just like talk to God, where God would just say almost anything to Moses. God could come before Moses and be like, yep, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill all the Israelites. I'm done. I'm fed up with them. It's just this weird kind of relationship. Now, can you imagine if you had like this little place, or where you talk about, so let's like, you have a little closet, and where God comes and talks to you. Can you imagine you just walk in the closet and you shut the door, and then you just hear, hi, I'm God, let's talk. Like, what? Like, that's insane, that he is right there. If that happened to me, I would just be totally freaked out. And so Moses goes to God, right? He's going, hey, look, we're best friends, right? You and me, we talk. We got a good relationship here. So I just want to ask you. So I want to know that you're coming with me. We're going on this journey, but I want to make sure that you're coming with me, and that you look favorably on me, and that things are going to be okay. Are you going to be with me? And God replies, I will personally go with you, Moses, and I will give you rest. Everything will be fine for you. He heard that, the actual voice coming to him. Now, if God came to me and said that, if I was like, God, I need to know your plan, he's like, I will be with you, and I will have my favor upon you. Yep, okay, yeah, I will. That is great. I'm so excited that you're amazing. Did you know you're amazing? You look great. You can just float back on up there now. And did I mention you're amazing? Okay, thank you. I'm going to go now. Like, that's just so crazy to think that way. But Moses is not normal, I guess. And so he asks him again. He says, he pushes a little bit. He says, if you don't come with us, I don't want to leave. I want to know that you're coming with us. Please come with us. How are people going to know that you're with us unless they see your works? Please, I need to know. The Lord replied to Moses, I will indeed do what you have asked, for I look favorably on you, and I know you by name. Okay, at what point is Moses going to give up? Like, this is twice now. God has talked to him. He said, I will be with you, in clear words. Moses going up, he's like, do you come with me? Yeah. Are you really coming with me? Yeah. Show me your glory. Like, he's pushing him. It's like, I want to see it. I want to see more. And it's like, dude, you can't do that. Can you? I don't know. Moses is crazy. I think that's why I like Moses. He does these crazy things. But so he asks God, he says, show me your glory. And then God does something awesome. God's probably sitting there going like, ooh, okay, problem with that. If I show you my glory, you'll die. See, I can't, well, here's what I'll do. I got a plan. See that rock over there? Yeah, I see the rock. Go, get in the rock. Get in the rock? What do you mean? Yeah, see, there's like a little cutout there that's like the perfect size for you. Convenient how that works. Where you can just go and you can hide in this rock, and what I'll do is I'll put my hand over your eyes while you're in the rock, and I'll just walk by you, and then as I'm finished, I'll take my hand off and you can look at my back. It's like, this is unreal. So Moses actually got to see God's back. How insane is that? We've seen some crazy stuff, but come on, like, that's insane. Moses had this persistence. He was always asking for more and striving for more. He's always going to God in this tent of meeting and checking with him, being like, hey, I want to make sure things are good. I want to make sure you're with me. I want to see your glory. I want more of you. Moses gets to see some of the craziest stuff, and he's seen the waters part before him. He's seen pillar of fire that leads them through the desert, and he's asking for more. He wants to see more of God. The crazy thing with this relationship between God and Moses is God doesn't even speak to Moses like he does with other prophets. He's got this special connection. It says in Numbers 12, verses 6 to 8, it kind of explains this. It says, this is God saying, if there were other prophets among you, I, the Lord, would reveal myself to them in visions. I would speak to them in dreams, but not with my servant Moses. Of all my house, he is the one I trust. I speak to him face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. He sees the Lord as he is. Wow, with him I speak so clearly. It's not like with other prophets. Sometimes we read, you read about Ezekiel where God sends him kind of visions, and Ezekiel's sitting there going like, wow, I saw like a wheel, and then there's like another wheel, and I saw some people, and one person's face was normal, and another face looked like an ox, I think. And it's like, thanks, Ezekiel, I'll read a different book. Songs is easier to read. But with Moses, right, he's talking to him completely face to face. So Moses is different. I think Moses really gets it. He gets how important it is for God to be with them throughout their journey. Even though they've seen this stuff, he's going back and checking with God. He's saying, look, I need you with us. I'm not going anywhere unless you're coming. I want as much of you as I can without dying. I want to push this to the edge. I want to check. Is anybody here a double checker like me? Where you got to check things a whole bunch of times just to make sure that you've done it right? For me, before I'll go to bed, I'll get my phone and I set my alarm and I'm like, okay, it's set for whatever it is, 7:30 or something. Yeah, and I push the button on, it's going to go off. I've seen the message come up, put it on my nightstand, and then I go to sleep. I'm lying down in my bed and I'm like, did I set my alarm? I know that I've set it. I remember doing it, but I'm saying, is it actually did I set it the right day? I don't know. I gotta check. So that I'll check it again and be like, yeah, it's definitely set, and then I'll go back and then I'll sit there and it's like, there's another moment of I'm pretty sure that was right. I think maybe I should check again. And then this morning, even after I double checked last night, my alarm didn't go off for whatever reason. I don't know why. And so now I'm going to have to check 12 times tonight just to make sure. But I'm always, there's that double check. Does anybody else do that? Am I the only one? Yep. Okay, there's a few people. Well, you lock your vehicle, I've got the lock button, and as I'm walking away, I hit it 18 times. Yep, it's locked. Yep, check the thing, check the handle, definitely locked. Press one, yes, saw the lights. Well, okay, one more time. You've got to make sure that it's locked. And sometimes in life, I know some people have said to me, maybe it's an insecure thing, I don't know, but I check lots of times. I'm trying to get more confidence to not maybe check as many times. But when it comes to our faith, how often do we double check? I think maybe in life we don't need to do as much, but in our faith, I think we need to double check. Maureen has a thing she always says, she goes, check, check. She's like, yep, just making sure, yep, check, check, we got it, double check mark that. Our faith, we can stand more to do what Moses does. When he goes before God and says, you're coming with me? God says, yes. He's like, you really coming with me? Just making sure. Okay, good, you're coming with me. And then later on in life, it makes help to go back and say, just want to make sure, is the plan still the same? We're still, okay, yeah, we're still good. But to go back and check your faith. Is this the right place? Do I want to do this? Just making sure. I want to make sure you're still with me. Moses is focused on God's plan, for the Israelites and not his plan. So he's always going back, always checking. Just wants to make sure it's the right plan. The Israelites were headed for the promised land, which for them is quite literally physical land that God had promised to us, or to them, sorry. But we all have our own promised land. Sometimes they're put on our hearts by God, the places we need to get to, but sometimes we make our own promised lands. We come up with our own goals of things we're trying to get to. And not all of them are bad. For myself, I'm trying to buy a house right now, so I'm trying to focus on paying attention to my spending and building a budget and making sure, looking at house listings and dealing with the bank. And it's this really, really long process. But it's a lot of what I think about, and just always talking about it and trying to pay attention to every penny that I spend and where can I save. And that's a good thing, trying to focus on saving. I think that's a good thing, and I think that's part of God's plan. But it's good to go back and just make sure every now and then. Even with something like buying a house. You're like, hey God, just making sure. Do you want me to buy a house? Okay, seems like that's okay. I'm gonna keep going forward with this. But always going back and checking with God. Just checking in, making sure this is still what you want. I want you to be with me. Even as a church, we can do that. I believe that God's plan for us, he's been working strongly with us on our building. As Jesse was telling us, we're getting stuff done in there, and that's awesome. I think this is God's plan. But throughout this process, and even once we get into the new church, I think it helps for us to stop in every now and then and just go, hey God, just making sure, just checking. Is this still the plan for us? Okay, okay, great. Relationships and family and church, all that thing, all those things are good to double check with God. Make sure it's still his plan. Because if it's not, we shouldn't go there. We got to make sure it's his plan. That's what Moses gets. He needs God all the time. These last few weeks, we've been going through Moses' story, and the first week we talked about the courage that Moses had, the courage to stand up and do something that he didn't even think he could do, and he just went out to take on Egypt. And the second week we talked about understanding and knowing God's plan for us, even though we don't maybe like or understand what's happening to the Israelites in Egypt or to our own lives. We don't get it, but we're going to just trust in God's plan. And last week we talked about the wilderness, the empty space that we get left in where we're not really sure what we're supposed to do. It's kind of like a fermata, the musical term that I use. That's a long pause that's meant to make it better, to make the song better, to make our lives better. It's called a fermata, though, not a frittata for us. They were asking me, like, it's called a frittata, right? No, it's fermata. So this time through the wilderness that is meant is better for us. And so after, I don't know what point of that state, where you are in your life, if you're at the courage stage or if you're at the wilderness stage, but all throughout those points, I think my last message here is to check throughout all of those points. When God calls you to something, you need to have courage. Take courage and get out there, but stop every now and then, just checking in, just making sure. God's plan, just checking in throughout the wilderness. Just checking in. Sorry. My brother's making fun of me. This is the official symbol now. Just checking in. So he's got a plan. He's all throughout the wilderness, but got to make that effort to just check in. If you're going on a road trip, if I'm going on a road trip in life, I want Jesus to be the one driving the vehicle. We always want to put Jesus first driving. But if he's going to make me drive, then he's sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm going to ask him every single turn to make sure that it's the right one or the wrong one. Is this driving along the road? Is this the road? We're supposed to be on this road? Okay, good. We'll keep going. Do we need that? No, we don't need to. Okay, keep going. This is the right road, bro. Yes, we're on this. Okay, we're just going to keep driving. Okay, we're second turn. Okay, it's a second. All right, keep driving. To always be asking. To always be seeking God's will for your life. Put him first. To do what Moses did and strive for more, to ask for more. And keep checking in. Make sure that it's still his plan. Let me close in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for your word and all the incredible things that you've shown us, Lord. Lord, I just pray for all of us here today. Help us to remember to check with you on everything in our lives, in our relationships, in our family, and in our faith, Lord. I know I want to have your plan for my life. I want you to guide the way and just show me what it is, Lord. So I'm going to just keep checking in. I'm going to be that annoying little kid who's constantly asking questions. Dude, Lord, just guide us. And as a church, Lord, as we go into this new building, Lord, guide us and show us your plan. We just want to keep checking with you and making sure that this is what you want, Lord, and not what we want. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.